Hello everybody, I am Ben from Team Panic, and today we're going to be looking at the final set of fights from Robot Havoc 4. We've already gone through the Melty Brain, Annie Are You OK, and Vogon Poetry. Links to those videos will be in the description down below, so check those out if you haven't seen them already. Today we are looking at the B League, the non-destructive league, but also some grudge matches and some rumbles, including a Beta-Weight rumble that will happen right at the end of the video. So without further ado, let's jump on in to the B League fights where I was running Spooky, the robot that I was designed to be as fast as I could possibly get it, or well, not quite as fast as I could possibly get it. For it to be that kind of speed, I actually needed to do an electronics upgrade, and unfortunately with all of the other robots that I took along with me, I didn't have time. So Spooky stayed on 30:1 drive with the fan and the big wheel, so pretty fast, but not as fast as I've managed the 10:1 upgrade, which was the original plan for this robot. Anyway, with all of that said, let's jump into the first fight, which is up against Sire of Spikes, which is a laser cut MDF two-wheel drive wedge.
3, 2, 1, go!
That wasn't good. Spooky though is a lot of fun to drive. I quite enjoyed driving Spooky in this fight against Sire of Spikes. However, it seems that doing all of the work on all the other robots, I neglected Spooky, and in this case, I specifically neglected the battery. So the fan and everything spun up and everything worked pretty well, and then the fan died, and I was like, oh, did I put in a bad ESC? Is that what's going on here? No, it was literally just that the battery was dying, and the ESC conked out first because it had more current draw requirements, and it just stopped. And then of course I didn't have very long before the whole robot just stopped as well, which is not good. That's definitely not the way I ever want to lose a fight. But in this case it was just a thing that happened, and realistically I don't go into the B grade to be too competitive. I mean, I did one time, and I kind of regret that a lot. So I like putting in kind of wacky, fun things into the B div, and I'm not too unhappy if I lose those on a battery because it's the B div. It's cool. It's fine. Yeah. So for the second fight out, I made sure that Spooky had a full battery going in, and the second fight up was against Bot Ox, which is the B League clone of Antimatter, which is a very nice wedgy wedge that we've had lots of good shoving matches with before.
3, 2, 1, go!
with it conduct. Now it looks like Spooky's got stuck on the side of the arena there. Might count out. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Lots of blocks.
Turns out, Spooky is a lot faster when you run it on a full battery, which was interesting. I really probably need to have a controller set up or a mode set up in one of my controllers or a model set up in one of my controllers that is set up for super fast drive, because I've built a couple of things that have that kind of nice super fast drive, and every time I do it, the steering is what gets me. I oversteer like crazy when I've got super fast drive, so I probably need to set up some modes and set up my mixing a little bit better for a super fast drive system like this. Which is kind of part of my problem in this particular fight against Botox, was just my driving was a little bit all over the place, to be perfectly honest. And I also didn't have as much traction as I thought I was going to. These big wheels and the low the fast RPM, low torque gearboxes mean that I don't really get a whole lot of traction. Even with the fan running, I wasn't getting all that much traction, and I was being pushed around by, as far as I know, Pololu wheels, which don't have the greatest amount of traction on their own. And then, of course, there was the big incident, and I got stuck under the new side railing of the new little segmented arenas, because apparently the front actually sits quite flat on the ground, which also might actually be a problem. I might have too much surface area scraping along the ground, and when I get somebody up onto that, I'm then pushing all of their weight's not on the wheels, it's all on this kind of front flat section, which is just rubbing along the ground. All of this stuff would be very mitigatable if I had just reprinted the chassis, but I decided that I just wanted to run with a chassis that I already had, so here we are, having some issues with that. And Antimatter was trying to get me back out of wedged under the wall, hitting me from various different sides. At first I thought he was trying to push me further in, but realistically everything he was doing was pushing me further in, because I was wedged at a very awkward angle that you basically needed to pull backwards to actually get me out. There was no kind of hitting from the sides that was going to do that, and I was just jammed and stuck. So Spooky is over 2 right now, which is not a particularly good fight record. But again, that's fine. We're in the beta league to have a bit of fun and do something a little bit crazy with it, which is exactly what we're doing. So, Spooky had one more fight in its round robin, very much likely not to make it into the finals at this point, so more than it has been before, this final fight is just for fun. And we're going up against Shredling, which is a version of Shrapnel, which the designs for Shrapnel are up online. So 6 Inches Builder took those design files and made them into a plastic spinner for the B-Div. So this is the first time Spooky is going up against something that they can actually kind of hit back hard.
It's on the way.
2, 1, go!
actually stuck to the ground and getting it stuck on makes it really, really hard to flip. You might get a result soon, too much into it. Final minute of battle. Ready for the picks. 27 seconds remain. Go for the final kill. Oh, there's the battle. Couple of wheels down.
So I feel like I didn't do too badly in this fight. I was keeping on top of him quite a lot. I was keeping the wedge and the scoop section pointed at the weapon. I was forcing the weapon into the wall a lot. He was compensating by turning the weapon off quite a lot to kind of stop the damage to the motor and all of the weapon system. And I was fairly on top of this fight for quite a long while there. And then he got a nice big shot on a wheel and ejected it. Like it just up and onto the sidewall even. So that was a whole thing that just happened. And of course, with that, I was on one fan and one wheel, and it didn't take long for him to hit the other wheel and then also take out the back supports out the back here that keep the back end of the robot off the ground and keep it from wheeling. So yeah, Spooky was pretty done at that point. I will also say he did get a googly eye. He got the googly eye before getting the wheels, so maybe that the power was in the googly eyes all along. Maybe, got to protect them better next time. Piece of Lexan in front of our googly eyes. Anyway, so that was Spooky's whole run. I really could have put Spooky back together, literally just jammed the wheels back on and kept running Spooky. But I didn't really want to. And I had both Run For It and 99 Red Balloons at the event just as demos. They were just like set up on a display as like, these are the types of robots you can build. Because we use this event as a kind of promotional thing, trying to get new builders into the club, get more people interested and involved and active in our community, which is really cool. And it means, yeah, we've got a big display of demo robots. So both of these guys were here as demo robots. And the event organizers said that we needed a couple of spots filled, so I volunteered both of them to go into grudge matches just to have something different to, you know, throw in some interesting and new robots into the arena for these last couple of sessions. Speaking of, the next fight up is 99 Red Balloons versus Disarm and Tron. It was a three-way Rumble grudge match.
Okay, let's get this underway. This match starts in 3, 2, 1. Yeah, everybody. We got two block losses, oh, surely that'll take us around there. And we are back on. Alright, good luck. Let's continue. He's pitching it down around the line. There we go. Alright, one place, one time. That was drop. And we got some really aggressive driving here, which is good. We're going to flip trying to get one bot out of the ring. Oh, there's a grab! But who's grabbing who here? One roll is already out in the hits. We'll get that one there. Alright, we have only got 9 seconds left. Oh, we're going to run it on the side. Is that penalty out? Oh! Don't have to blow there. Blow it back in mode. Give it a spectators. Give a really good push around. Alright, 60 seconds left. Oh, now both down.
Yeah, so a couple of things happened very, very early in that fight. One, I was ganged up on immediately, which, look, fair enough. I was the only spinner in that particular rumble. And also, two, I was not the spinner in that rumble because apparently something is busted in the electronics of 99 Red Balloons. Probably happened at the end of the last meet that 99 Red Balloons was at. I had no intention of fighting 99 Red Balloons this weekend, so I had not checked anything over. I had no idea what the electronics were like. And yeah, it turns out, yeah, there was a fault in either the motor or the ESC, so the ESC kept browning out and not allowing me to spin the weapon up, which left me at a little bit of a disadvantage because the drive in here is designed for speed and getting the weapon into things quickly and not so much for traction and, corralling other robots. And I was in a fight with two control bots who were very much designed to do that very thing. Once I realized I wasn't a threat, they started fighting amongst themselves a bit more. And of course, then I ended up in the wrong place at the wrong time and whoop, down the pit I went. In the pit, I did keep trying to spin the weapon up, but yeah, something was very badly wrong with the electronics in 99 Red Balloons, and yeah, that's the way that goes. It's, I guess, kind of what I get for throwing in a robot that I had not done any work on and had no intention of fighting and, you know, just trying to do it for fun, and yeah, I had busted electronics in there. So that was a thing that happened. We did have Run For It as well, ready to go for any other grudge matches, but other people had signed up for grudge matches as well. So the next fight that happened was the Antweight Non-Destructive Rumble, which of course I put Run For It in because it was my best working non-destructive Antweight at the time.
Here we go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Here we go. Come on, everybody. So how do you win the rumble? Use the last one standing. You can push out an opponent. If you can, get rid of the pit with that cross shortly. Now, there we go on the pit there. Unfortunately, made into a very new situation. I've got 5 points left in this mix. I've got 1 minute 45. A little game up here. We'll take it all together and sit there. But you don't need to turn. And we're in. Okay, 51 seconds to the left. 4 blocks, that's it. Oh, they've got so much falling. Alright, we're entering the final phase of this match. Alright, let's get it down. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3. Oh! That's gonna be what they were. That was epic.
So, lots happened in that rumble because, of course, it's a rumble. There is lots of stuff going on all the time. So I was a little bit ineffective in the first kind of half a minute or so of that fight, running around trying to flip people, not really getting anybody, not getting them far enough up the wedge to get a good throw on them to get them over. And then, of course, I got Flipping Awesome, the green front hinge flipper, rear hinge flipper design, or 4-bar lifter design. Anyway, it itself is a flipping robot, and I got it up and over and up against the wall, and then I spent 2 minutes of that fight trying to get them back over again. Unfortunately, the geometries of our 2 robots made that kind of difficult because he has like little bull horns at the top of the robot, which I think are intended to like keep things up there when you flip them and stuff, but that made it really, really difficult for me to get in underneath to the right point to activate the flipping arm and throw him back over. I also did kind of try and bully around Shredderling a little bit, just trying to keep that weapon out of the fight a little bit, but in the end I did just keep going after Flipping Awesome, trying to get Flipping Awesome back up on the wheels, eventually managing it by doing some weird maneuver, getting him all the way on top of me and rotating around and throwing him back out over into the actual arena, which was just a fun little move to pull off. And there was a little bit of cheering you might have heard in that clip. That was me and Chris, who drives Flipping Awesome. We both had a little cheer when we got Flipping Awesome back over again. The one thing I'm a little bit disappointed about is the mics don't seem to have picked up Chris yelling betrayal when he then turned around and tried to flip me after all of that stuff had happened. But that was a lot of fun, that fight. I then was kind of messing around a little bit, bullying a couple of other different people here, there, and everywhere, not really being super effective. But then, of course, in the last 10 seconds, I saw that there was an opening to maybe win this thing and decided that I was actually going to really go for it. And go for it I did, getting the final Bot Bits Blue into the pit with just 2 seconds left on the clock, which, I'm so happy about that. That was, like, I almost could not have timed that better if I'd tried, which was really fun to see. So, high off that win of an entire non-destructive rumble, I turned around and put 99 red balloons, not 99 red balloons, I turned around and put Run For It into the next rumble, which was the Antweight Destructive Rumble. Figuring that I'd put Run For It into the destructive class before, nothing too bad had happened, so surely this was going to be fine, right?
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, game on! Destructive. And then as your weapon starts to fray, it comes back down to the pushing, comes to shield, comes to cleave. Oh, there was two going from that there. Oh, good nothing. Yeah, that was surgical, surgical. Alright, we've still got 3.5 minutes left on this, so I think some of those pushes are putting it into the shot. Alright, and these are filling up. Back from the dead, out of that, straight out of the pit. Alright, a minute 35 remaining on his bounce. Alright, we've got some good two matches here, and we've just over a minute left. And we'll get that result. Alright, 52 seconds remaining. This is where we see the drivers start to get brave. Maybe careless. But fortune favours the brave. Alright, final 30 seconds. Alright, 15 seconds. I'm going to get out of this countdown. This has been a great match. Here we go. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
And fine, it was not. We very, very quickly lost the flipping arm to Angry Angie, one of our only interstate competitors for this particular fight and this particular event in general. And yeah, from that point on, I was kind of left as a four-wheel drive pushing robot with no real weaponry, which was a little bit interesting. We did manage to go over and take Broomhilda's weapon off while they were upside down, just hitting Broomhilda hard enough or like driving straight into them, or something happened and the weapon collided and broke off. I have a feeling that the weapon was kind of loose already and we just kind of, you know, did the final little click that like got it off and out of the whole robot, but I'm gonna take it anyway. It kind of is my thing. Yeah. And then, you know, going around chasing all the big spinners because I figured, why not? I might as well give that a go. And got hit by 6 inches on a wheel, ricocheted off Lumberjack and straight into the open pit. So it wasn't a very long rumble for us particularly, but yeah, yeah, it was still good fun. I still enjoy doing the rumbles, especially with a robot that can tank the hits and, you know, can do things pretty well. The other highlight of this whole rumble setup for me, though, has to be Angry Angie jumping itself back out of the pit at the expense of its own weapon. Through the course of the weekend, Angry Angie, with that massive vertical spinner, had been having a mixed bag of hitting people with that weapon. Sometimes they would bounce themselves out of the arena, sometimes they would throw their opponent out of the arena, sometimes they would hit something hard enough and just have the motor can on that weapon, the motor can on that weapon motor just rip itself out and have the weapon go flying, which is a little bit reminiscent of This Is a Party. I had that happen to me a lot in the early days, especially the bouncing out of the arena problem. It is, yeah, a bit of a curse when the walls are quite as low as they are. So yeah, to see all of that stuff happen over the weekend, and it kind of culminated in this one moment where it did the thing again, lost the weapon again, but got itself back in the fight by doing so. Just so good. It was amazing to see Angry Angie there, and we'll probably see him in the comments to this video. I'm sure he is going to be around and chatting to all of you. It was great to have him here at ARC's Robot Havoc 4. And finally, the last event of the day was a Beta-Weight Rumble. Now, if you've watched the rest of the videos in this series, and you really should, links in the description down below, you'll know at this point, at the very, very, very end of the competition, nothing I had was really working in the Beta-Weight division. It Works was just down and out pretty much, and like all of the weapon belts and stuff were broken, and Annie was fairly busted as well. Just nothing was really going. So you might be asking, how did I end up going in the Beta-Weight Rumble? Well, sketchily is how I did that. This here is one of the knife-popping robots that I built for Robot Havoc 3 or Robot Havoc 2, I cannot remember, and I threw this back together partly overnight during the event and partly over the Sunday, while also fighting all of the other robots that I have going on. Basically because the event organizer was like, well, can you throw together another Beta-Weight just in case we need some rumbles or something to happen? And then I didn't end up going in any rumbles, so I was like, oh, well, I'll throw it in the Beta-Weight. Sorry, not rumbles, grudge matches, yes. But yeah, I didn't go in any grudge matches, so I was like, oh, well, I'll throw it in the Beta-Weight Rumble, that'll be fine, right? So I agreed to do that, and then I did a quick test in the test box before the Beta-Weight Rumble, like very quickly before the Beta-Weight Rumble, and realized this is probably not the best idea. This is a YOLO drive robot that is quite lightweight, and the wheels are massive, so it can flick itself over quite easily, and it was really hard to control. And also Iron Tooth was there.
Beta-Weight Rumble 2021, 3, 2, 1.
Yeah, So, yes, Iron Tooth Wrecked House. I basically tried to stay out of the way of a lot of things because a lot of the stuff in this balloon popping robot is 3D printed. I did decide to call it Knife to Meet You for this one fight only. I might end up rebuilding this thing without 3D printed parts because that's what happened here, is just a 3D printed motor mount exploded and we lost drive. But that's fine because otherwise Iron Tooth would have taken way more chunks out of us and I probably would have lost a battery because the back of this thing is also 3D printed. So if he'd hit that, the entire thing would have exploded and maybe we would have lost the battery to just on the floor, and that would have been a really, really bad thing to have happened in the middle of a Beta Weight Rumble. Yeah, that was good fun. I enjoyed that and I really wish we did some more Beta Weight Rumbles. I also really wish they had better working beta weights for a Beta Weight Rumble in the future. Something we'll work on, I guess. Anyway, that is going to be it for this entire Robot Havoc 4 stuff. I hope you guys have enjoyed that one, and I will see you in the next video.